Hello, my friends. Welcome to Walking with J.Beau, an almost daily walking vlog. On this September 14th, 2025. We're going to walk, get my miles in after not walking yesterday. Had an absolutely fantastic range day yesterday. Really enjoyed it. You can see a beautiful sky tonight, early evening. Absolutely beautiful looking sky this evening. So I'm gonna walk. I got a little bit of twinge of pain in my right hip. Really don't know what that's all about. It's definitely like a ligament or something. So my friends, guys and gals, and other things, thank you for being here and walking with me. We've got some interesting things to discuss on this walk. I'm going to start off with the most obvious. This is Tyler Robinson and his roommate, a male, and now it's been confirmed that his roommate is their lovers. So you have this staunchly conservative Republican family, good family. And they have this kid, got a fully paid scholarship, $30,000+ to go to school, and he dropped out. He dropped out after 1 year. Started hanging out on internet groups on Discord, and Discord really took off during the pandemic, where they would you had a lot of people upset at the censorship from Facebook and Twitter and these other places. So they would go on Discord, where you could have your own server and have more privacy and not have to worry about that, because it's not the same as social media. So that's what happened with that. And he spent a lot of time there, and it turns out that his roommate, his lover, had a lot more, belonged to a lot of groups that were far left, extremist, a lot of really hardcore far left extremist views, and it's starting to look like one of those things where, as suspected, and I said in the last walk, I said it has not been confirmed, it's getting closer to being confirmed that, hello, So there was a lot of info about well, how should we put it? Kind of a lover's influence with ideologies. And I've seen that happen with other people. This one girl I know got groomed as a teenager by an older person, and they're still together. But this person now is a complete radical leftist lunatic, and it's a lesbian relationship. And again, I don't have anything against that. I'm just saying that these gender ideologies and neo-Marxist ideologies, DEI and woke politics, dominates their lifestyle. So, I mean, you have regular gay people, and then you have far left extremist loons that are insane. It's not because they're gay. It's just that that group was heavily invested in by far left as a fringe minority to preach victimhood to, by telling them they're a marginalized community and that the Christian right is stealing their rights and is going to eradicate them. And if they could, they would kill you, is what they were being told. So, I'm going to turn the camera around. Hi, everybody. Yes, I'm wearing the MAGA hat. I'll explain why in a minute. And, but anyway, it turns out where it looks like his roommate knows a lot more than is what is being said. And I have a suspicion that his roommate is going to end up getting charged as a co-conspirator. I just have that feeling. Currently, there's no evidence to suggest that, but we don't know what the entire conversation, the texted conversation, is that law enforcement took photographs of from his roommate, which is cooperating fully with the FBI, okay? And the state of Utah, state police, detectives, everybody is cooperating fully, okay? That does not mean he's not guilty. That just means he's probably hoping he doesn't get charged because he knows he is guilty. So we're going to have to see what happens with that. But this was not a basic conversation. This was Tyler telling his roommate that he had to go back and retrieve the rifle before it's found. In other words, he trusted his roommate enough to even tell him about what he was doing, basically. So obviously the roommate is implicated. Has to be. So anyway, I'm gonna have to watch that. I don't see how he cannot be charged. If you knew plans about something and you belonged, here's the thing, okay? Now it's been revealed that his roommate belonged to some Antifa groups, and in those Antifa groups they were chattering about how something big was going to happen at the Charlie Kirk thing in Utah tomorrow, they said. So they were getting all excited about it the day before, and a couple of them, one of them specifically, And I saw the screen capture of this. Posted, "We did it!" with exclamation point. After it was announced Charlie Kirk was shot and he died. So this person announced, you know, like, "Yeah, we did it." So I think there's going to be other people that are in that group. They're going to be charged as well as co-conspirators and organizers of domestic terror. And the hammer has to come down on these people hard. Very hard. Cannot allow that. That's domestic terrorism. That is organizing on a private and encrypted server, organizing an assassination. So, you know, cannot be allowed. Has to be, this has to be remedied, period. So I'm confident it will be. I also just confirmed today, a lot of people were saying, geez, all that blood and all that, Charlie Kirk was dead before they even put him in the car. Well, it turns out that was false, because Donald Trump Jr. tonight was on, well, last night, was talking with Hannity in an interview, and he said specifically that Erica Kirk, Charlie's wife, called Don Jr. and said that Kirk was at the hospital in stable condition, being given a lot of blood. So that means obviously he made it to the hospital, because that's right from the horse's mouth, you know. And then he said that she had called him back, and he didn't get the call right away because he was, you know, kind of busy with things. I don't know what the reasoning was, but he returned the call almost right after he got it, and she didn't answer. So I don't know what that's about, but you know, whatever, it doesn't matter, I guess. So anyway, the hat. Why am I wearing the MAGA hat? I'm wearing the MAGA hat because this is gonna sound crazy. I don't care if it does. Charlie Kirk put his ass on the line for everybody, knowing that that could happen to him. And he did that because he felt it was important. And it is. And the left is at war with us, okay? If you cede ground to them and you cower and show fear, that emboldens them and they feel like they've won something. So that's why I'm wearing the hat. We're on the right side of morality. We're on the right side of the Bible. We're on the right side of American history. And we cannot bend or break or back down. If anything, people should get more MAGA. Get more involved. I'm going to check online after this walk. I've been kind of busy this weekend. I'm going to check if there's any Turning Point USA chapters in Maine and see what I can do to help. Because I believe supporting Turning Point USA is more important than supporting the Republican Party right now. So the reason why I say that is Turning Point USA, their main goal is to reach young people, the future of America. And somebody like me can tell them how things used to be before this radicalization and all this nonsense. And the other thing I want to add real quick is the reason why the left is getting violent is because they're realizing that they have lost the culture war. They have lost it. It's over for them if we keep continuing like we have been and not get lazy and not get lackadaisical and get people to go out and vote and keep voting. Keep the pressure on. Right now is a time to even be more boisterous about our views, always keeping in mind, always, that we must be peaceful. No violence, not ever. And I know some people are having a hard time with that. I'm reading a lot of stuff on the internet where people want retribution, revenge, and hopefully nobody does anything stupid. So I am encouraging you, please, please do not go out and commit any violence. Peacefully protest. You want to get a bullhorn and stand on a corner and say far left extremism, Democrats are destroying our country, we cannot tolerate it anymore, that's fine. That's non-violent. Now the Democrats have raised a generation and a half of kids who believe words are violence. So when you say you want to eradicate transgender ideology, they call you a bigot. They call you, that's violence, because your words hurt me. So if something causes somebody to hurt, it's a weapon. They have been indoctrinated on this bullshit. Basically, Charlie Kirk was assassinated because people didn't like what he said and their feelings were hurt. In a country based on freedom and liberty, and to have a marketplace of ideas where if you have a better idea than someone else, that idea will do better. But now that they're losing everything, and the Democrats are, especially after this assassination of Charlie Kirk, and it's revealed that it has to do with transgender ideology bullshit, which we knew already. We knew that already. Come on, guys, right? You guys know this. A Republican lunatic is not going to shoot Charlie Kirk. That's not the target he would pick. So, somebody that would go after Charlie Kirk would be somebody from the left because they don't like what he said, or somebody that is very anti-religious and they're atheists because Charlie Kirk was very religious. So I can't really think of any other reasons unless, like I said, Charlie Kirk owed somebody some money or something, you know? So this should be painfully obvious, right? And it turns out it is. Now, what was interesting is the mayor of, not the mayor, the governor of Utah said that Tuesday we're going to get a lot more information. He said right now we're not releasing it and we're not discussing about much because they want to bring formal charges against this guy and they don't want to give his defense attorney any kind of help, you know, by saying, see, look, they were saying he was guilty and did this before they even charged him. They were going to get him. So they're trying to avoid that. So, which is good. But people want to know, they want information. And when you don't give it to them, what are they hiding? You get all these social media people that are always crying cover up. I saw a guy tonight on YouTube on social media and one of the replies, Oh, having a rifle down his pants, that is completely... He was wearing skinny jeans, and there's no way we're being lied to. It's like, how did these people get that information? I mean, that's just dumb. He assassinated Charlie Kirk with a rifle. Video shows him jump off the roof with the rifle, run across the lawn without a limp, and gets rid of the rifle in the woods, seen on camera. That's how they found the rifle so quick. They looked at the video footage. They saw them go into the woods, and then he came out of the woods, he didn't have it. It's like, where did he have it? Up his ass? I mean, what are you insinuating? He had it in the back of his pants. And he had the stock up underneath his shirt, and he had his backpack over it. Now, I still have no idea why they keep saying that there's something special about the shooter's scope. That's the quote. There's something different and unusual about his scope, and they didn't elaborate what it was. So we're going to have to wait until he's officially charged and the evidence that's known becomes like public knowledge. So there's a lot of stuff we need to find out. My theory was that he took the stock off of the rifle, because video surveillance released today shows that the shooter went and surveilled the place ahead of time. Like, obviously we knew he did that. So there was no video evidence showing up on the roof. The only thing we see is what you can see on Google Maps, the 3D view, and you can look around. But at the time, the roof that he shot from, he spent his time inside the building waiting for the people to come to the event. So he hung out there for quite a while. We haven't seen any of that video. He was wearing shorts, by the way. He was wearing shorts when he showed up on surveillance video. So I'm watching this video of him walking down the street with no limp. And his legs look unusually white. Okay, I'm white. My legs are glow in the dark white. My arms are kind of tanned right now because it's the end of summer. So when I put my arm down by my leg looks like it's glowing in the dark, okay? That's kind of like what this kid's legs look like. But at the same time, they looked so white to me that he may have been wearing white tights. And I say that because, well, he's in a relationship with somebody that's trans. Maybe that's just something they like, wearing nylons, things like that. Or he wore opaque white nylons to cover a tattoo because he didn't want to be pinned later, because obviously he knew the police were going to be going through video. He didn't want to show up on somebody's security camera. Well, that's him. Look, he's got that tattoo. So that's just a theory of mine. That has not been confirmed. But I think he was wearing tights to cover a tattoo. Just my opinion. We'll find out more. Because it looked unusually white. I mean, you got white people and then you have like the color white, okay? You know, like white socks. That's what it looked like. But they went all the way up over his knee, up under his shorts, I guess is my point. So that's going to be an interesting thing. The other thing is, so he went to that place to scout it out beforehand. And then when he went back, he's limping. So whatever video you see him in limping, he's got the rifle in his pants. Okay, so cut out with the stupid, ridiculous conspiracy theories about that. He had a friggin' rifle in his pants, okay? It's not impossible. The stock made a big bulge on the back of his shirt, sticking up out of his pants. But that's what the backpack was for. So, and he was wearing a disabled veteran's shirt. And he's limping, so it's part of his disguise, okay? We're gonna find all this out and be patient. But we do know for a fact that he limped on his way in and he limped on his way out when he was hiding the rifle. So he takes a shot, runs off the roof, jumps off, full running, so he's not limping. He had a long thing wrapped when he jumped off the roof. That's the rifle. He jumps off, lands in the grass. That's where they got his foot imprint, and because he jumped like 10 feet. And he picked up the rifle because he had dropped it for a second, and then he hesitates for a minute and he picks up something else, which they believe was his glasses. He was wearing sunglasses to hide his face. So that's the story on that. That's what I have so far, and it makes sense to me. I think his roommate's going to end up getting charged as a conspirator, and he'll probably get a lighter sentence because he's going to be one of the main people to testify against him in a trial. So you want to make some kind of plea bargain deal where Tyler Robinson gets the death sentence and he doesn't. So he's trying to save himself from, he's probably just hoping he gets 20 years or something as an accessory and not the mastermind behind it. So I think it's going to turn into a he said, or if you want to call he a she, a he said, she said. But they were obviously very intimate. I saw an interview with a teenager today where they were being interviewed by the media, and he said that he saw them not even 2 weeks ago together, holding hands, being romantic. So it's confirmed, okay? We can put that to bed now. And that explains the extreme amount of knowledge in the text, which we still have not seen all the text. Haven't seen any text. Those will be released. The only thing they'll do is if it mentions any specific names, it'll be redacted. So those are going to be available. The media today was funny watching them, because they got a lot of bad news today about this. And watching Dana Bash on CNN sit there and have to listen to the governor of Utah tell her that this was a transgender roommate, and Tyler was in a relationship with this transgender person, and they wanted that to be a Republican nut job so bad you could see her deflate right on TV. Like, we just lost our narrative. Now we're gonna have to own our own shit and defend it. She had that look on her face. So that's gonna be really interesting to watch. So I've decided I am going to wear my MAGA hat when I want to wear my hat, and people aren't going to determine when I don't wear one or not. So this is the United States of America. We're not supposed to worry about those things. And like I said, I carry a firearm everywhere I go. Carrying one now. I'm not going to be intimidated by thugs and people that hate this country. So if something happens to me, then so be it. At least I'll have a chance, hopefully. But the thing is also, I'm not inciting anything. And you know, that seems to be the big argument from the left. Charlie Kirk was a bigot. He was inciting hate. So how was he inciting hate? That your family unit is important, God should be number one in your life, and everything else comes second, and we should be nice to one another. We should listen to each other's grievances and have discussions about them peacefully, engaging in debate, sharing ideas. How is that, you know, how is that being a bigot? You know, I've watched Charlie Kirk for 3 years now, I think, almost. Not religiously, but you know, I'd go pop in his channel, watch his videos. He always had something interesting. And he would have black people on there, and he would say to them, you know, I really love you guys, and you know, we really need to save this country, and you guys are really important for that, he would tell them. He would talk to average people all the time. He wouldn't just hang out with the elites and schmooze with them. And that's why people liked him. You know, you'd go to an event or something like that. He got a lot bigger recently, but some of his older events, 3 years ago, when his movement wasn't quite as big, you know, he would, you know, like in a ballroom, they'd have some kind of event, and he'd walk out and he'd just talk with everybody. Some poor guy that showed up, some rich guy. He would talk to atheists. There's an interview with him with Bill Maher, for example, where Bill Maher is being condescending, arrogant about God, and Charlie Kirk just basically just ignoring him. And then he let loose on him with words and kindness and common sense and knowing what he was talking about. And he was saying, you know, like, he goes, you know, like, I understand, you know, you think people that are religious, they're simple, they're, you know, maybe not too smart, they can't figure out, you know, like, there has to be no God because of this or that or the other thing. And then Charlie Kirk would remind him, Sir Isaac Newton, one of the biggest scientific scholars in that generation, actually wrote and studied the Bible and religion more than he did his science, trying to figure out and basically saying there's something to this, and it could be all connected. And Sir Isaac Newton wrote about that. And there have been other incredibly brilliant scientists who have done great things, who are believers. So Bill Maher was trying to say that people believe in God because they're uneducated and stupid and they can't think and process things. They must be morons to believe in a ghost in the sky, as Bill Maher puts it. And they had a discussion, you know, Bill Maher was like, you know, what is this? He is risen. What, did he like rise this weekend or something? And Charlie Kirk was like, he looked at him and he said, he is risen, not he has risen. In other words, he is risen. He's here with everybody because he came back from the dead 2,000 years ago. Bill Maher was like, Oh, wow. That's interesting. It does say that, doesn't it? Yeah, he is risen, not he has risen. This is just people reminding themselves and affirming their faith every year. Which it is. It's what it is. That's what Easter is about. It's not about Easter bunnies and colored eggs and chocolate eggs, even though the chocolate eggs are friggin' delicious. Who doesn't like a good chocolate bunny, right? I do. But it's amazing to me how, you know, if you want to find out who an atheist is, just sit in a room with them and wait for them to talk. They love telling you they're an atheist. So we're going to look at this sky tonight. Isn't that a nice looking sky? So now we're going to walk like this. It's getting dark here. I'm going to have to stop and flip over into night mode. I did increase the ISO to 1600, so right now it's letting in more light than it usually does, so I'm hoping it looks good on playback. This is a kind of interesting, nice looking sky tonight. And a lot of times I look at this and then when I play it back, it's actually darker than what it looks like on my screen. So there's that factor. But anyway, yes, he is risen is a lot different than he has risen. Now, he doesn't rise every year. He only did that once, 2,000 years ago. And apparently somebody as smart as Bill Maher, that didn't occur to him. And that's usually the case with arrogant people. They think they know everything. And what have I said on these walks many times? The people that are know-it-alls oftentimes are the ones that have a lot of things they don't know about. They profess things like guns are violent, guns kill people, people would be alive if they didn't have guns. Well, machetes kill, U-Hauls kill, and we have firearms rights enshrined in the Constitution because the founding fathers put it there for a reason. So we would be able to defend ourselves and liberty. I'll give you two examples on why we have the Second Amendment. But first I'll mention that it's in there because the British went around the colonies and they disarmed the citizens and took everybody's guns. They couldn't even go hunting like they wanted to. Britain knew there was an uprising and people were upset, so they went and confiscated the firearms. So those are very important reasons. That's why it's in there. Now, what did Ukraine do when they got invaded by Russia? They immediately, the first thing they did was start defending Ukraine. The second thing they did was start recruiting people to fight. The third thing they did is they went into wartime mode and gave the government wartime powers and suspended their democratic processes to a certain degree to ensure that the focus of war, kind of like a martial law, could be instituted. The fourth thing they did was they armed their citizens because previously their guns had been taken away from them. So they distributed AK-47s to citizens, fully automatic, pistols, and So that's what they did. The other country that did that was Israel. Israel had disarmed their population. They didn't want their citizens armed. Every citizen is expected to and forced to serve in the Israeli defense, IDF. So you are required to do your duty in the military. Every citizen that is able-bodied, male or female. They do not distinguish. But they could not own firearms. After that attack in October of 2023, where citizens were slaughtered, babies were burned, beheaded. One of the last videos I watched, and horrific, was these two 10 and 11-year-old boys with these terrorists in their house. They killed their parents. They saw them do it. And this kid was bawling, and he was talking about how he couldn't hear out of his left ear. And he was freaking out. And the terrorists ended up killing them. And so they reinstituted firearms for citizens. Now last week, you didn't hear much about it because of the Charlie Kirk thing and some other stuff. But a bus terminal, bus stop, I should say, as a city bus, these two Palestinians started shooting at people on the bus, killing them. They were stopped pretty quickly by a person who had served in the military and was now carrying a pistol in public. And there was a citizen who had a firearm in public. And both of them ended the terrorist attack, which otherwise would have involved a lot more dead people. And they were put down pretty quickly. I don't know exactly how many were shot or killed. At least two that I know of were, because I was watching them put them in body bags. So that we do know. So now, right now, with the naked eye, this looks pretty dark, and it still looks kind of watchable on my screen. But up ahead here, I'm going to have to switch over to night mode. And so I think I should do that right now. All right, now we are in night mode. I'm going to have to stop at the porta potty at the park up the street because I got to go. So that's an important thing, to have gun rights. And the reason why I mention that is a lot of people were like, you know, because Charlie Kirk supported the Constitution with his entire breadth of being. So they try to say, well, he supported the gun rights, look what happened to him. And he also said that sometimes you're going to lose some people to gun violence, but it's not enough to take your gun rights away. In other words, the left was saying that Charlie Kirk says it's okay if people get killed with guns as long as it doesn't affect his guns. So that, I don't know how they can reason that twisted of a manner. That is some real mental gymnastics to do that. And it's the equivalent of, and yes, I've beaten this to death, I understand, It's the equivalent of protesting using the First Amendment and a riot breaks out and 200 people die. Billions of dollars damage across the country, or whatever the hell happens in a riot, whether it's a bombing or whatever the hell it is, that results of a free speech gathering, that we don't take the right to free speech and protesting, peaceably assembling away. Because the Second Amendment doesn't say people can own guns to commit violence, it just says people can own guns for defense and hunting. And it doesn't even say that, but that's the insinuation of what it means. So, some people are going to do bad things. And they're going to rent a U-Haul and run over a playground full of children and kill them all. We're not going to ban U-Hauls. We're not going to require psychiatric evaluations for people that drive, even though we probably should, be honest with you. At least a mental aptitude test. So, basically, anybody can drive if they pass the driver test. They could be the dumbest person you know. They demonstrate they can handle a vehicle and obey the traffic laws. Well, they can have a driver license. It's not a right, it's a privilege. Gun ownership is a right guaranteed by the Constitution. Now, they always come back with, well, what about prohibition? They amended the Constitution to ban alcohol. This is true. But then saner heads prevailed and they changed it. As I'm choking on wood smoke right now. That's got to be, I'd like, well, that's obviously a wood stove, but it's not cold enough for a wood stove. It's still about 70 degrees right now. Maybe somebody's testing it out. It's not Canada burning, but anyway. So, prohibition was repealed, and so I guess their argument is that the Second Amendment can be changed, which it can be. It can, but it's not going to be, because it's an original amendment from the Founding Fathers. It's just not going to happen. And there's a reason why they put it second. Free speech, freedom of press, freedom of religion, the right to peaceably assemble. That was in the First Amendment. That was the first priority. The Second Amendment that was written and ratified by Congress was the Second Amendment. It's there for a reason, for the aforementioned British confiscating firearms. The citizens had to be armed. That has not changed. We're invaded by China. They're going to have a difficult time with all the guns in this country, because we will fight back. That's the whole point. Somebody breaks into your house to assassinate you and your family because of political viewpoints, like Hamas did to Jews in Israel. You will be able to defend yourself and your family. I sure as hell would not want to shoot anybody, but if somebody's trying to kill me and they have a firearm, well, God help them. God help them. So anyways, my friends, I hope you find this conversation interesting. I hope you do anyways. I'm going to turn the camera around again. Have a discussion with you fine people. So that's where we are right now. I am seeing a lot of things right now that look good. I'm I'm seeing a lot of Democrats toning down their rhetoric, except for Ilhan Omar. She had to go issue something stupid, and Democrats are going to have to fix their house, you know. It's not up to us. But I have a feeling that as soon as Trump does something in Memphis, which he already announced he's going to with the National Guard, they're going to be right back out with the dictator fascist talk. And, you know, they're not going to learn. They're too stupid. And they're going to hurt their party further. And I'll give you a prime example of that. I have seen so many videos this weekend of independent voters proclaiming that after seeing the behavior of Democrats and the behavior of voters on social media, people getting fired from their jobs, which is an absolutely incredible amount of people got fired. Hundreds nationally. I mean, they got canned because they were celebrating an assassination. And, you know, they always like to cry, well, I thought we had free speech. Yeah, we do, but you're publicly posting things like, we didn't make posters for Charlie Kirk when TPUSA came in to have posters made. And you work at Home Depot. Not Home Depot, but whatever that Office Max, is it? So they wouldn't print up their posters because of political reasons. So anyway, both of those employees who looked liberal as hell with the short haircuts and stupid looks on their faces, both of them got fired. So I guess now they're going to have to pawn their nose rings to pay the rent because they couldn't shut up. So you're representing a company. So you're free to say what you want. I'm free to work somewhere and tell a customer, I'm not going to serve you because I don't like how you look. But you're not going to have that job long. See what I'm saying here? It's not a free speech issue. You're representing a company, and when you work for them, you're the face of that company when you're dealing with a customer. So you don't say things like, well, I'm not going to serve them because they're Jewish. You can't do that. You have a right to do that, but you shouldn't be upset if you get fired for it. So anyways, just my opinion. What do I know? I'm just an a-hole with a GoPro. Walking around, I'd like to say aimlessly, but I know where I'm going tonight. I'd like my short little video clip. Where the fuck am I? I uploaded that because I thought it was funny. Where the fuck am I? Anyway. That was made with AI, by the way. I should mention that. So that video was a still photo of me, and I used AI to animate the video and add a voice to it. So that's not my voice in the video, even though I can make it sound kind of close. Where the fuck am I? Anyway, I gotta use the restroom here. My bladder is barking at me. I'm full. I'll be right back, friends. All right, my friends. Turn the camera around. Night view is much better. Pointed towards me as far as the stability of the picture goes. So yeah, so we got a lot of stuff we got to deal with, my friends. Just the way it is. But basically the left is doing what they're doing because they're losing. They're lashing out. They're backed into a corner. They're upset. Their whole narrative is crumbling. Everything they were told that they should be willing to die for is going away. Now you get Democrats who aren't even defending transgenderism anymore. You know, they'll kind of tongue-in-cheek, yeah, you know, everybody has the right to whatever. But anyway, we want to talk about this. So they're avoiding it. And President Trump has gone around the country and defunded transgender medicalized medical treatments using tax dollars, universities. So he has told universities to stop doing this or you're not going to get any money. And the universities bent the knee and they're not doing it. So these people can only do it on their own insurance. So there you have that. So that's one of the reasons why they're upset is the Democrats, they're not talking about it, are they? They're not. They're not calling Republicans transphobes. They're not putting the pressure on like they did a couple years ago when Biden was president. We're winning the culture war. And to the winner go the spoils. And some of that's going to have to do with people that have been radicalized and have a propensity for violence. So it's not going to be the last attack. It's not going to be the last act of violence. It's just not. And President Trump is enemy number one. Charlie Kirk was chosen because I'm sure that person would rather do Trump than Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk was available. Charlie Kirk was not elected to office. He holds no office or power at all. He just talks into a microphone and has a debate. So what they have done, however, is now they have activated tens of thousands of people globally. And I am still in awe of all the people in Australia, Britain, everywhere, mourning the loss of Charlie Kirk and fully getting it now, how violent the left is. It's no longer something they can deny. And I think that's why it's having a profound effect globally, because now even the person who kind of like distances himself off to the side, doesn't concern me, it's none of my business. I get better things to do than to support conservatives. You know, live and let live. People can be LGBT if they want, whatever, which is still true. That's still true. But now they understand that there is a radical transgender ideology, DEI, wokeism. Now they understand how dangerous that is. And at this point, it doesn't really have anything to do with somebody's sexuality. This has to do with politics. These people are being used to promote neo-Marxism, gender ideologies, cultural change by destroying the old culture. And people are finally waking up to that. 1 million people. 1 million people showed up in Britain to protest this weekend, celebrating Charlie Kirk. It was an event held by Tommy Robinson. Tommy Robinson was imprisoned for speaking. He got 18 months in prison because the government tried to intimidate him and he wouldn't let them, knowing that he was going to be arrested and charged. and he did it anyway. Tommy Robinson is somebody that owned a shop in Britain years ago, and he started paying attention to what was going on in his neighborhood, and he ended up uncovering rape gangs. They were Muslim immigrant rape gangs in Britain, and he was getting angry because the government was sweeping it under the rug, covering it up, lying for them, because they're trying to promote a political agenda. They were bringing in immigrants because, like Elon Musk spoke at this 1 million people protest via Zoom on a big screen, and told those people there that these immigrants are being imported for the same reason it's being done all over Europe, and tried to do it in America and Canada, Britain, Germany, France, you name it, because they're trying to import voters, because they're going to vote for the liberal parties, because they're getting benefits and all this other stuff. And these liberals are so stupid, they just don't understand what they're dealing with. You're giving Europe to Islam. You don't understand what that means, because there's only two kinds. There's Sharia law, and then there's the other kind, and it doesn't matter, because all of them are radicals. Not all Muslims, but the ones that end up floating to the top and doing all the damage, they will take over Europe, and white people will be a thing of the past. And what they need to understand is that these white people who just want to go to work, go to the store, and be left alone aren't going to be able to, because these people someday are going to kill you. You need to deal with this problem. It's not going away. So I'm just telling you what Elon Musk said today and Tommy Robinson said. I'm not expressing my own personal views. I need to rectify and clear that, okay? I don't want to have this episode removed and suspended from my channel, because they will do that for hate speech, because YouTube is owned by Google and they censor people. So anyway, I'm not glorifying it, I'm not promoting it, all right? So, just telling you what Elon Musk said today. That was his words. So anyway, this is all a really big deal. It's these globalist elites have enraged the working class all through Europe. The farmers who are going broke. They're being forced to slaughter their cattle because of climate change, emissions from the cows' asses. It's insanity, absolute insanity. We have it good here. You know, we're complaining about, you know, these girls with nose rings and blue hair and trying to get you fired at work. Well, in Europe, you're getting locked up in jail if you complain about them. So people are only going to take so much. And when the people figure out that their culture is being destroyed, they're going to fight back. And it's not going to be pretty. So anyways, that's what's going on over there this weekend. It's all tied to the same things. Radicalization of far-left extremists. This is all far-left ideologies, is my point. All of it. And they like to safeguard their socialist authoritarianism by being authoritarians and saying that if you're against immigration, then you're a bigot and a racist. The police car going by here. Don't know where he's going. That was the Androscoggin County Sheriff. So I don't know what kind of things happening out that way, but he looked like he was in a hurry to get there. He or she. So anyway, we have a lot of crazy things, man. Don't know what other way to say it. So anyway, I dropped my brother off at the airport in Portland earlier, and didn't walk yesterday, so I was like, well, I'm gonna go for my walk. So here I am, my friends. You can see in the lights over here for the running track, which are on tonight. The other night they weren't. Looks like somebody's doing some kind of practice, looks like. But as you can see by the lights, it's kind of humid tonight. It's not humid, you know, like you guys have down south, but it is about 70 degrees and comfortable. I don't see anybody on the field right now. We may have missed their practice. A lot of times we'll see girls out there, college girls playing soccer or field hockey. There's nobody. Nobody out there. Oh, I should have bought some damn pasta when I was at the store earlier. Damn. No, nobody out there. There's nobody home. Yabba dabba doo, my friends. Crazy days we're living in. Never give in, never surrender. It says that on the side of my hat. Never surrender. Still seeing people online talking about the Epstein files. It's like, geez, so tired of hearing about that. There's more important things going on. Not that that's not important, I'm not saying that. They're just not going to release all of this stuff without redactions. And the Democrats are not spending a lot of time talking about the Epstein files right now because they understand it's not going to get Trump, so they don't care now. Seems like, anyway. At least from what I've seen. So we're going to take a left over here. Go down a side street. I'm starting to get pretty sweaty right now. It's kind of warm tonight. All right. Go back and have some trail mix. I'll have some fizz. Have some fizz Merelda. Oh, guys. Yeah, so my right ankle has a twinge in it, slight twinge, and my right hip that was twinging when I started the walk is no longer twinging, but my right ankle is. So I don't know what I did. Must have been at the range. Maybe I stepped in a hole, something. Who knows? So the other thing I wanted to talk about is there is a lot of religious fervor going on right now. The world seems to be having a come to Jesus party right now. There's been a big increase globally of people either becoming or reaffirming their faith. So, and the reason why I bring this up is there is a pastor, this black guy, who is held in very, very high esteem with many religious scholars. He says Jesus' second coming, he's coming back September 23rd or 24th of this month, 2025. And he's talking about the rapture. If you're not familiar with the rapture, is the day that happens, God comes and takes you, and you go to heaven because you're a believer. You've repented for your sins, you've asked for forgiveness, and you've given your heart to his Son, Lord Jesus. So, this black pastor says that is going to happen September 23rd or 24th this month. And if you are a non-believer, you are going to be left behind for the end times, and you're going to have to endure the end of all things. So, just telling you what he said. It doesn't confront me because I'm a believer. If that's what happens, then well, that's what happens. I'm not going to say I don't want to go to heaven, right? So, each man or woman has to determine that for themselves. And all I can do is tell people that I'm a believer, and I wish other people would be as well. Can't force anybody. It's free will. It's a free will deal. Anyways, most important thing is you can't go to heaven if you're not baptized. It's to save your soul, purify you. It's a purification. I was baptized when I was born. So was my brother Jim. So was my older brother. If you're Catholic, that's what happens. So, just the way it is, folks. So I guess we'll see what happens. Walking with J.Beau might end in a couple weeks. I guess we'll see. So, finish up the walk here. I'm going to check out the Halloween decor up ahead here. See if they've added anything. If they got any of their animatronics going with the vocals. Last year they had ones activated that would speak to you. So we're going to check it out. I'm going to walk down to the end here and we will check it out. Looks like they got a lot of their lighting up. As you can see, it's quite a display. They do this every year. Sometimes it's a little slightly different. I wonder how much of this stuff they buy on Temu or AliExpress. For a lot cheaper than it would be at Walmart. that for a display? Somebody's got their air conditioning on. It is a little warm. Tomorrow and the next day is going to be warm. I think Wednesday is going to be 77. Now, you guys down south might not think that's warm. But what I mean is the humidity level is up. It makes a difference. It's a lot different than it was earlier today. So isn't that cool? So far, every year I've been walking, I've been checking out those decorations. Pretty awesome. Well, bloody hell, my friends. I'm still working on this church. It's been like that since last year at this time. Like I told my brother earlier today, it's like, I mean, what are they building in there? Are they like building a whole church in there? You can't see it yet? I don't even see people working on it. They run out of money? Contractual issue? People aren't donating enough money? That's another big thing that happened in the United States. Is there has been a 20% decrease in people attending church. There are some denominations, and there's different kinds of churches. I don't agree with a lot of the Catholic Church. Their politics has nothing to do with God or anything like that. It has to do with the church itself. I believe there's some corruption in the Vatican, and we saw that really rear its ugly head when they were keeping the pedophile scandal quiet with priests that were molesting and in some cases raping altar boys. So the church decided to try to cover it up instead of owning it and doing something about it, and they got sued and they paid some money, and because how they dealt with it was when a priest would have an improper issue, an impropriety, they weren't relieved of the priesthood and kicked out or admonished, they shuffled them off to another church somewhere to do the same thing after the guy, oh, won't do it no more. Well, a lot of people lost faith in the church, the Catholic Church, and two of the big churches around here are no longer Catholic churches. They have both been acquired by the city, and they are community centers. One place they distribute food to the poor, which is fine. The other one down on Lincoln Street they converted to a Franco-American center, which, you know, they have a Franco-American thing every year, but basically they spend all their time catering to migrants. So the churches that are doing well here are the real kind of churches, the Bible teaching churches, where what matters is the Bible and not this other noise. So those churches have full parking lots, and that's one of them. So that's why I don't understand why they haven't been finishing that church, because every time you walk by there when they're having services, parking lot's full on Saturdays and Sundays. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on. So anyway, everybody's going to have to get more involved. That's pretty blatantly obvious. We're coming up on 5 miles now on this walk. So anyways, we're going to cut through the parking lot here. I'm going to have my 5 miles tonight. This is my Alien shirt. This is a shirt that came with the Alien soundtrack 5 LP vinyl box set. All of the music score written for the Alien, most of it never used in the movie. So it's one of those things I like to own as a fan. It's a very cool box set by Mondo Music. And this is a Mondo tee, which you can tell because it has a Mondo tag. Very high quality shirt, shaped for people that are in shape. So this is a shirt that's made for somebody that doesn't have a beer belly, in other words. Very well made t-shirts. I've had it for a few years now and it's still in really great shape. I do have to be careful when I wear this one though, because the graphic design on it chemically interacts with nitrocellulose finish used on Gibson guitars. And I own Gibson guitars. So I found that out because I was playing a black SG. It's a black SG with 3 gold pickups. And when I was done playing, I looked at the back and it had actually started chemically melting the finish on the back of the guitar, which I had to buff out, which it did buff out. The other good thing about nitrocellulose finish, it's not like a hard plasticized finish like on a lot of lesser brand guitars. So it's easy to do a finish repair on nitrocellulose. So anyway, I'm going to turn the camera around, getting through a more populated area. I just don't feel like getting beeped at. I might anyway. I don't think anybody will think I'm live streaming and stop by and blame me for what's going on the left and take a shot at me. Hope we don't see that. So here we have overpriced gasoline. That is not the price of gas in Maine. That is overpriced. That says $3.02 if you have a Smart Pay member card, and it's $3.12 if you don't. $3.12 a gallon is 40, almost 50 cents more than it should be. In some places they have $2.70. $2.72, $2.78. So I Location, location, location. This is a place located where a lot of people like to gas up. So we'll be wrapping this walk up ahead here, which is okay.
I'm on cruise, nigga. I'm not hitting the front.
Thanks for stopping. That, my friends, is a fucking asshole. State of Maine law. You have to stop for people in a crosswalk. And a marked crosswalk, whether the light's green, red, purple, or brown. Anyways, coming up on the end of the walk. So, my friends, I want to thank you very much for walking with me tonight. I want to say thank you for being awesome. We'll get over here, we can get some light, hopefully. Love you guys, man. So anyways, my friends, click like and subscribe, share the content, and say a prayer for President Trump and the country, Charlie Kirk's family, and pray that we don't have any more violence, and pray that we can find some kind of common ground where the rhetoric and the tone changes. Very important. We got to become a country again. And it's always, you know, I don't want to behoove the point, but the point is, it's always from the left. The left are the ones that are violent. Joe Biden won in 2020. People weren't happy about it. We had January 6th. I think a lot of those people that rioted were plants. A lot of the people were leftist, anti-Trumpers who mixed in to cause trouble and were successful, because who's going to bring a backpack with a grappling hook unless you're planning to do something with a grappling hook? So that was an unfortunate chapter. I'm not condoning it, I'm condemning it. We shouldn't have done that. That was not a good thing to do. So anyway, we're going to have the new January 6th committee hearing done properly, where both sides get to speak. So we're going to learn a lot more that the Democrats censored. And, you know, because we need to have that out there, good, bad, or indifferent. So anyways, say a prayer for President Trump and the country. And J.D. Vance, too, you know. He's a good guy. So anyways, my friends, we'll see you on the next walk. God bless you and your family, and we'll talk to you soon. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye now. See you soon. God bless.